Hi there, Matt. Well, this is the 13th annual JMMC meeting, the Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee. Essentially, this session brings together top producers to discuss the outlook for the oil market ahead of that all-important April OPEC meeting. Late last night, the Saudi Energy Minister Khalid Al-Falih reiterated that a possible extension to the OPEC Plus cut agreement could be necessary when it expires in June. And that's because he believes that the oil market still has more stabilisation to come and prices need to increase from this point on. However, it does not appear that everyone is on the same page. Remember, Saudi Arabia has been doing the bulk of the heavy lifting when it comes to those output cuts. We also heard from the Russian Energy Minister, Alexander Novak, who said that perhaps now is not the right time to be talking about a possible extension. So while the Saudi-Russia relationship remains very strong and vital for the oil market moving forward, perhaps there is not as much clear cohesion on exactly what will happen next, particularly as we approach that April OPEC meeting and the expiry of the current cut agreement in June. Here's part of what the Saudi Energy Minister, Khalid Al-Falih, had to say about the state of the market today. Listen in.
My assessment is that the job still remains ahead of us. We're nowhere near complete in terms of restoring the fundamentals. We need to stay the course. Certainly until June of this year is almost a certainty, but we remain ready to continue monitoring supply and demand and doing what we have to do in the second half of 2018 to keep the markets balanced.
The Saudi Energy Minister and the Russian Energy Minister met for 3 hours yesterday in that high-level bilateral discussion to discuss the outlook for oil markets and a range of other issues as well. And this was a meeting that was almost over before it began too. Russia's Energy Minister flew in just after midday yesterday and flew out after midnight last night. So that very important conversation happening essentially before the real stuff gets underway today. Just checking in on what some of the commentary that Russia's energy minister had to put forward as well, not only at the session but also in this first on CNBC interview. I asked him whether or not and how soon Russia will become 100% compliant to the OPEC cut accord, because as I pointed out before, Saudi Arabia has been doing the bulk of the heavy lifting on those production cuts. Here's how he responded.
As for the target output level that forms part of the signed agreement, we plan to reach those figures by the end of March, beginning of April. This is earlier than in the same period 2 years ago, by about 1 month.
So, Matt, while the cut accord has been very effective in helping to lift oil prices by about 25% this year, and we have seen the market stabilise after the slump in Q4, it's very clear from some of the commentary here that major producers still have more work to do to stabilise the market. The downside that we see in oil prices today may be a reflection, though, of the fact that there is less clarity on exactly what happens to the state of this agreement at the June expiry. And at the same time, there's also a multitude of factors that are impacting the outlook for oil markets right now, including those dual US sanctions against Iran and Venezuela, and of course, rising US production as well, not to mention some of the concerns around the demand outlook too. So clearly a significant number of factors that these producers are trying to deal with in their efforts to curb supply, raise prices and stabilize the market.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.